Game 7 show. It is Tuesday, October 8th, a little after noon here in Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Will Satler, alongside Isaac Bugarin for episode 37, Met Radio. Here we are, once again. Almost forgot to unmute you.
Welcome into the Game 7 show. This is episode 37, as he said. This show is brought to you by Met Radio, the student voice of MSU Denver. Met Media is the overall company that embodies Met Radio, the newspaper, the magazine, the TV. All of that is a part of Met Media. This is brought to you by Met Radio. You can find this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you want us to be on another podcast platform, reach out to us. We'll get on it.
Working on Google Play right now.
Google Play, that's right. Google does have a podcast.
Google has their own. Oh, okay.
Platform now, I guess.
I thought you were just gonna leave it at that. It's like
no, Google probably has their own podcast, anyways. They've got to have their own podcast.
But what kind of podcast would they have? A lifestyle podcast?
Yeah, probably like a lifestyle or how to use Google.
Does Yahoo have a podcast?
I'm sure that everybody's got a podcast, man. Everybody wants to be the next Joe Rogan. As always, you can hit us up with questions for our next podcast. Interact with us on social media. You can tweet us at _Game7. You can tweet Will at Will Satler. You can tweet myself at Isaac _Bugarin. YouTube is where we post all of the full-length video clips of this podcast. That's the Game 7 show. Facebook, we post mini clips here and there. We also promote the podcast on Facebook. That is Game 7 show. We make takes every single podcast. Obviously, that's literally what we do on a podcast is make takes. So if you literally don't like our takes, I kind of want you to email us, game7show@gmail.com, if you don't like our takes, I guess.
Have you checked the email recently?
I haven't checked it, not since like last week.
Last week?
I don't open anything up,
lying.
though. Yeah, I got it right here. I'll pull it up if you want me to. Do you want me to read some of the emails that we got?
We got some emails?
I don't know. Probably not since like last week.
It's probably like just YouTube, just like confirming, because that's the account we use for all our mini accounts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we got one from Apple.
Ooh. Is that Steve Jobs?
Lex Finsley, that's from like SoundCloud. Apple, YouTube creators, Apple News, SoundCloud Pro. That's what's in our inbox for Game 7.
Well, we'd like to see your name in there, so send us an email, send us a text, send us a tweet, send us a Facebook, send us a YouTube, send us a letter in the mail. Yeah, you want us to answer a question or talk about something specific on the next podcast? Let us know. We bring you a new show every single Tuesday. Usually we post it right about 2-3 p.m. Depends on the day, man.
Just depends on the day, exactly. But every single Tuesday, that's when we bring you a show. I've kind of thought about going like multiple podcasts a week or something. Like, I mean, even if it's just me or even if it's just you.
Well, definitely, and I think the Game 7 brand can expand. It doesn't necessarily have to be just one podcast a week, right? Because you're writing articles, and that's Game 7, right?
Yeah.
Some of my stuff during the week is Game 7. So expanding the brand, so it's not just a podcast. It's not the Game 7 show. It's Game 7, and it encompasses more than just podcast.
It's podcast writing. What if we did
journalism?
What if we did like the Game 7 Nuggets podcast, the Game 7 Avs podcast,
well, we could,
Game 7 Rockies podcast?
Yeah.
What if we did that?
But we were like the leaders, the managers, like the CEOs
of this.
So then, like
Game
someone
7
else
brand
that knows good about the Nuggets has their own podcast under the Game 7 name. That's a monopoly right there.
That is, man. That's like our own media company now.
I don't know, man. We're thinking big things.
Well, I guess I've never really thought of that until just now. Accompanying different podcasts, like different Game 7 entities.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a
possibility. This is the Game 7 podcast, but like obviously you and I would still be able to talk about.
Yeah, we could hop on.
Yeah, you and I could still talk about like all the sports that we like to talk about, but then we still have the Game 7 Nuggets, the Game 7 Broncos, the Game 7 Avs,
Yeah, you just got to get the crowd going, man.
We just got to get different people in.
Send us an email if you want to be Game 7 Rockies.
Game 7 MMA. I bet Tucker Ryko might want to do that.
Yeah, that's a shout out, man. That's a call out.
That is.
He has to respond now.
I know, Tucker. If you're listening, let us know, man. I feel like he listens.
Every once in a while, probably.
He probably listens to a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah.
But what are we talking about today, man? What are we talking about today?
Well, we'll first start it with today in history. You'll break it down with some history from this day in history. Wow.
That was kind of obvious.
That's kind of obvious.
No way. I didn't know I was going to do that.
Postseason baseball, we had one team punch their ticket to the ALCS last night. Everybody else is going to a Game 4 or Game 5. I guess it's all Game 5s, right?
No. Tampa Bay and Houston's in Game 4.
The Broncos got their first win on Sunday.
Oh, my goodness. Start the parade. Denver's going to throw a parade for the Broncos.
For real. We're going to break in a new segment today. I just made it up like 5 minutes ago. It's called the Quick Five. It's everything you should know in 5 minutes that you don't know.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit NHL, CU Buffs, Denver Outlaws, Colorado Rapids. Just a lot of good stuff that we don't want to like.
Opening five. Or what is it?
Like the Quick Five.
The Quick Five. There you go.
Like
the Quick Five.
Quick. You know, like Game 5's really quick. And then,
is it?
And now you're listening to the Game 6 show.
Game 6.
We're thinking about
Game 5.
See, that could be what it is. It doesn't have to be Game 7 Rockies. It could be Game 6. I don't know.
You lost me there. You lost me. I got a little confused. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I got a little confused.
I get it.
And then we're also going to talk about the NBA season. Like, what are our expectations for it?
Yeah, that'll be the breakthrough. We'll talk about our preview. I tweeted it out earlier this week. Ben Simmons, breakout player. I have a hot take for Ben Simmons this show. So we'll get into that at the breakthrough, and then we'll close
real quick
it up.
before we officially start this podcast. Well, we already started, but officially before we get into everything that we want to talk about, I got asked this weekend about like how did we come up with the name for this podcast? How did we come up with the Game 7 brand? So,
do you get any credit for this? Can I give you credit for it? Is there any way? I mean, there wasn't really a meaningfulness behind it. It was just like, I like Game 7s, you know?
Yeah, it was like
Game 7s are the best things in sports. So I was like, I wanted to do something with Game 7. So whether it was a clothing company, whether it was a podcast, whether it was a media company, whatever it might be, I was like, Game 7 would be a great name for that. And because everybody loves Game 7s in sports, right? It's the best thing in sports.
Anything goes in Game 7, man.
So that was kind of the saying behind it. And then when we determined that Met Radio would want to let us join their media production team, we were like, what about Game 7? That's a pretty good name. So it encompasses all of sports in the national realm, and it also encompasses Denver and the spread of Colorado. So it's worked out. I think Game 7 is it's slick, it's short, but it's also rememberable. And at least we didn't go with like Game 4.
Yeah.
Game 1. I guess Game 1 could have been cool too. You know, Game 1s are cool. Game 162. If we wanted to do like a baseball podcast.
Well, so I've been thinking of doing like my own like just strictly baseball podcast. And I've had a couple names for it, like the Rundown, Game 163.
Well, the Rundown you can't really use.
Why not?
Because MLB Network has the rights to that.
What do you mean?
They have a show called The Rundown on MLB Network.
Is it called The Rundown?
Yeah. They have High Heat, The Rundown, Intentional Talk, which is a really cool one.
The Go Ahead Run? Maybe that's a kind of a cool name for a podcast.
Wow.
The Go Ahead?
I mean, you really can do anything.
Walk Off?
I mean,
something? I don't know.
What is the Barstool one is starting 9, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you could do like the dumpster fire in the Rockies bullpen. There you go. Here's your podcast.
The Rockies are a dumpster fire. That's the name of the podcast.
I mean,
but I guess, and then we kind of started, when we started putting together the Game 7 brand, we submitted a show proposal to Met Media, and...
Did you pull it up?
I have it up right here.
All right. Don't read the whole thing because, again, that's like the Antonio Brown thing all over again. But what are some points of it that you think are really interesting?
I'll read the first line here. Game 7, it's win or go home. Anything goes. Whether you're listening on the morning commute or before you pick your March Madness bracket or in the wee hours of the morning, Game 7 has it covered. That was our opening.
See, I wasn't that bad of a writer then.
You weren't too bad.
I guess I'm just an editor now.
Yeah. And then we talked about like what are you going to get with the Game 7 show? Quality sports content with a focus on stories that drive the news each week. No cotton candy coverage. We want to bring you a show that mixes the feel of a Barstool sports story with the content that you'd read on Bleacher Report. We also said that if there's one thing about Game 7 in sports, it's that moments last forever. Anything can happen in Game 7, and we can't wait to get started and see where this goes. Wow. That was great.
Yeah. It makes me tear up a little bit.
The show will never run out of content because there is no off-season for sports. In the heart of Denver, one of America's greatest sports cities, there will never be a shortage of interesting coverage with the Pepsi Center, Mile High Stadium, and Coors Field in our backyard. That's solid right there, man.
There you go, man. I brought out the soundboard today. I don't know why, but I'm pretty proud of this. I'm going to have some good sounds today. Some roasting sounds. I'm sorry you don't have anything. Maybe just give me like a thumbs up if you're like oh, I want the sitcom laugh, thumbs up, and then I'll just be like, and then we'll be good. We'll just go on with our business.
This podcast really taking off. Wow.
Because we have a soundboard with a sitcom laugh.
This feels like the actual radio. You know, like I'm on like 104 through the fan.
The best part is like, usually they have a producer
that does this for them.
Yeah, so this is kind of hard. I mean, I wish that I could just be on the producing side, and then.
I know a producer at 104 through the fan. I don't want to shout his name out. Well, yeah.
You don't want to shout his name out?
Because some people just don't like that. Like they don't want to be known, you know. But he does the show for who is it? Stokely and Zach.
Yeah.
And he's the producer there. He's actually MSU Denver alumni, so pretty cool.
Media alumni.
Networking, man. Networking.
That's how we do.
But today in sports, today in sports history, we're going to throw back to 1956 when New York Yankee pitcher Don Larson tosses the only perfect World Series game over the Brooklyn Dodgers. The only time that there's ever been a perfect game in the World Series was 1956 Don Larson over the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I think, don't quote me on this, but I think there's only been one no-hitter in the postseason, and that was Roy Halladay. I remember that one with the Phillies. That was 2009, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm looking it up right now.
I think it might have been 2008 because 2009 they played the Rockies in the NLDS.
I feel like there was one more no-hitter in baseball.
I feel like once happened
in the postseason.
Well, and we've had a couple cycles lately too. Brock Holt is a memorable one that I can think of. So, it's just
no. You're right. Actually, the second no-hitter, but there's been one perfect game, and that was Don Larson.
And if I remember right, Roy was really close to having a perfect game.
Yeah.
He only had maybe one walk or something like that, and it was a controversial one because they were like, he could have tied Don Larson.
It gave up only one walk to Jay Bruce in the fifth inning. It was a 4-0 win. Halladay threw 104 pitches.
Against the Reds. Wow.
Yeah,
against
the Reds. Kind of interesting, right? But then a year after Don Larson throws that perfect game against them in the World Series, the Brooklyn Dodgers announced they're moving to Los Angeles.
They just said, we're out. Peace. Deuces.
They were like, we can't hit the ball in New York, so you know what? We're out. We're going to go to L.A.
I don't have a soundboard ready for that. But
1995, Edgar Martinez drives in the tying and winning runs to beat the Yankees 6-5 in the bottom of the 11th to win the American League Division Series.
What year was that?
1995. So actually, I was just thinking about this. The Seattle Mariners wanted it was like the Seattle Mariners and there's one other team that's never played in the World Series. I believe it's the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
And the Washington Nationals.
They won their first series this year.
Yeah, to have never
and
played
in a World
another
Series.
One. Yeah, exactly. And Seattle Mariners, that was a really good team. You know, the Seattle Mariners have had some really good teams. For them never to be able to play in the postseason or to never play in the World Series. You think of all the years Ichiro spent there. You think of all the years that Ken Griffey Jr. spent there. Edgar Martinez. You want to talk about Randy Johnson.
They bring in really good talent. They just never seem to put it together. Because that team this year started off pretty hot. I mean, they were hitting the most home runs in MLB history.
Exactly.
And then they just kind of fell off. And I mean, they've had Felix Hernandez, James Paxton. That's just a couple names to mention.
Yep.
You have Ichiro. You have they have that Japanese pitcher now. I don't remember.
I don't know his name.
But he's pretty damn good. Like they can get some good players up there. Mike Zunino before they traded him. Different people like that.
So just in general, the Seattle Mariners, they just haven't had a lot of luck in October, you know.
Well, neither have the Nationals, but
2011, Raiders executive and coach Al Davis passes away at the age of 82.
Yeah, Al Davis was so
influential.
That's the best word for it, for that Raiders franchise, and it's kind of not necessarily went downhill since then, but because you can't really say it was uphill at that point, but at that same time, like, it's definitely gone downhill. It's been a struggling franchise the last few years, and now they're moving.
That's why they're moving to Vegas. Yeah, exactly. I don't think Al Davis would have ever let the Raiders move to Vegas under his watch.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If he's still alive today, do you think they're in Vegas?
Probably not.
I
don't think so.
It's a very good point. So, I don't know, man.
And then just last year, 2018, Drew Brees passes Peyton Manning and becomes NFL's all-time leader in passing yards. Throws for 363 yards and 3 touchdowns to beat the Washington Redskins 43-19. That was an absolute rout. I remember that.
Did you see the ESPN post from Scott Van Pelt about his rant on the Washington Redskins after they fired Jay Gruden?
I didn't.
You should check it out.
it's really crazy to think where the Redskins have gone the last few years. I mean, I remember the golden days with Robert Griffin III, RG3.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't even the golden days. But that
was them trying to fix their quarterback problem. And then they also had Colt McCoy, right, who just actually started for them. Was it this past Sunday?
Well, and also keep in mind that they've had
Colt McCoy, the Longhorn.
Sean, it's like this, bro. Oh, that's Rowdy. That Longhorn.
Like that. Okay.
Longhorn.
If you're watching the video, you see us both doing it. I did it wrong the first time. It's actually
you don't put it behind your head, bro.
It's right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Let's go, Rowdy.
Rowdy the Roadrunner? MSU Denver, baby.
Well, if you look at the Redskins, coaches they've had on their staff, Kyle Shanahan, who's now the head coach of the 4-0 49ers.
Yep.
Sean McVay, a couple people have heard of him. So they're producing good coaches. They're just not keeping them. And so that's really interesting to think of.
Crazy to think that all of that happened on October 8th years ago. From 1956, Don Larson, 1957, Dodgers moving to L.A., 95, the Yankees finally lose in the ALDS. L. Davis passing away in 2011, Drew Brees making history 2018.
That's another interesting thing there because, I mean, the Brooklyn Dodgers are in the World Series in 56, right?
Yeah.
They're a successful baseball team. And then they move. Like, you don't hear about that in sports today. If a team's going to move, they're not playing well. The St. Louis Rams moved because they couldn't get anything going in St. Louis.
It's a power move to move from the East Coast in Brooklyn in New York all the way to Los Angeles, California.
If you move from Brooklyn, if you move from New Jersey to Brooklyn, it's a power move. The New Jersey Nets were nothing in the 2000s.
I don't think it's
late 2000s.
Power move. New Jersey and Brooklyn are right next to each other.
But you can go back and look at when New Jersey moved. The Nets moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn. That was a huge move. They built a whole new Barclays Center. Jay-Z was a part owner at the time, changed a lot of different things. That's just a power move. You know? You're yawning again, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't get it. Yeah, I guess you just don't enjoy podcasting.
Let's talk about baseball.
You did? No, let's
jump into the postseason. Let's jump into the postseason. Last night we saw the Yankees punch their ticket to the American League Championship Series. They sweep the Twins in it was actually a pretty good game. I stayed up till ended about 11 o'clock or so.
No, it was earlier than that.
No.
It wasn't 11 o'clock.
I feel like it was pretty late. I feel like I stayed up till like 11 o'clock watching baseball. But now do they have too much time to cool off? They're waiting about 4 days for game 1.
You good, bro?
Dude, I literally have no clue why I'm yawning so much.
You're just bored. You just don't enjoy podcasting anymore. I get it. It's okay.
Just answer the question.
I don't even remember what the question was at this point. Every time I look up,
do they have time to cool down? Is it too much time?
It depends. If Tampa Bay forces a game 5, I don't always believe in too much time to calm down. I do believe the hottest team is always the best team, or the best team is not always the hottest team.
That's where I disagree. Because I think a prime example of this happened in 2007 when the Rockies won 21 out of 22 games and to make it to the World Series. And then all of a sudden, they get to the World Series against the Red Sox 2007 and they get swept. It's not even a game wasn't even close. You know, we had time to cool. We had what they said it was like a week, or was it like 10 days, 9 days to cool down? It was something crazy like that. So I definitely do think that if you're in the batter's box, like, and you don't see live pitching for 4 days, live game pitching for 4 days, I think that has an effect on you.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% sure.
Okay, I mean I get it. No, it's a good point. But these are professional baseball players, so I think they're fine. I think the Yankees will be fine. I think they're the hottest team right now in the East, in the AL, and Houston's gonna put up a good fight. But I'll go back to my pick last week. I still think New York is.
And that's why I just disagree. I think Houston's going to win Game 4 against Tampa Bay. Justin Verlander against Diego Castillo.
Greinke did not look good in Game 3.
He didn't.
He just got shelled. The entire Houston pitching staff
got shelled.
The entire Tampa Bay offense looked different than what they did in Houston. So that's key to remember.
Well, good news is Verlander's 3-1 with a 1.05 ERA in 4 potential clincher games. in his career in the postseason.
It's crazy to think.
So he's 3-1, and look at that ERA, 1.05 in 4 games.
It's crazy to think that when Verlander was in Detroit, that they were a World Series contender, and now you look at him and they're like,
well, Verlander and Scherzer were on the same team, both in Detroit, and look at them now.
Jordan Zimmerman eventually ended up there. I think he was in Washington originally.
Yeah,
but that team was Miggy Cabrera was a Triple Crown. I mean, he is a Hall of Famer, but he was on the edge of Hall of Fame work. So,
and in Game 1, Verlander struck out eight Rays in 7 innings, scoreless innings, 7 scoreless innings. I just don't see. I don't see Justin Verlander losing this game.
Diego Castillo, is this their opener strategy?
I think so. This is them. It's a bullpen game for them.
I mean, it's a win or go home. You're going to use every single pitcher that's available other than Charlie Morton.
Exactly. Castillo tossed 1 2/3 scoreless innings against Houston in Game 2. So if you can expect him to go 2 or 3 innings from Castillo, I mean, great. But in all reality, I don't see Houston losing this game. I just don't see them losing a Game 4, let alone a Game 5 in Houston.
Yeah, if they do find a way to lose Game 4, I think they'll have Game 5 in a lock, even if they're hotter, even if the Rays are hotter. But I don't get it, man. Are you tired?
Dude, I have no clue what it is. Cardinals or Braves in Game 5.
Wow, this is a good one.
You got Jake Flaherty against, I'm going to mess up Mike's last name, but Mike Foltynewicz?
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm really not sure. I really don't know how to say this dude's last name. It's Foltynewicz. Fulton what?
Foltynewicz.
I don't see a V in there, dude. I see a W.
The WICZ makes a V.
No, that's witch, not vitch. Because then you don't have the. How do you get the?
It's
not sound at the end.
It's not American, so it's not supposed to sound like the letters.
I don't get it.
You also said Flaherty.
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 Flaherty he was nearly unhittable in the second half. Braves were on him in the first postseason start, touching him for 8 hits in Game 2, but he still limited the damage to 3 runs, and he's still the Cardinals' best chance at a winner-take-all contest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he like I said, he didn't look very good in Game 2, but this is still the Cardinals' best pitcher right now.
And this isn't really the Braves' best pitcher, but he did retire the last 11 batters that he faced in Game 2.
What scares me about this game is how bad Carlos Martinez has looked in this series. Without Jordan Hicks as that closer for the Cardinals, Carlos Martinez has been all over the place. And granted, he was really good during the regular season.
Did you see him blow a kiss to Billy Hamilton?
You can blow another lead. I don't know.
I think the baseball gods watched that. The baseball gods saw that and let the Braves come back.
Yeah,
I'm a believer in that. You do something stupid in baseball, like you blow a kiss in a 1-run game with no outs, runner on second, tying runner on second, and you blow a kiss to a guy.
Well, and he also got angry at Acuna after
he pimped that bomb.
Yeah.
In Game 1 in the 9th inning.
It really he just.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
You have to be mad.
I mean, I don't understand the point where it was if. The Cardinals got mad at Acuna for pimping that home run, that meaningless home run in the 9th inning of Game 1, right? And then the very next game, Carlos Martinez comes out and blows a kiss. Yeah. Like it just like I mean, and especially when the MLB's promoting the whole "we play loud," in the postseason, we play loud, and then for the Cardinals to get mad about pimping a home run in the 9th inning, and then for them to come back the next day and again blow a kiss, like it doesn't make a lot of sense.
As much as I like what the Cardinals have put together, that is a very Cardinals move-esque. So I am not surprised for that to have happened, but it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know, man. I'd have to take the Braves tonight. That offense is just too strong. Acuna just doesn't seem to get out. Ozzie Albies has been on fire. Freddie Freeman has disappeared in the series.
I was going to say, what happened to him? He was like an MVP candidate in the regular season. Now all of a sudden he's He's a no-show.
Yeah.
No-show. He's got like 2 hits in the 4 games. One's like a home run, one's like a single, and like a walk.
He
struck out
reminds
twice.
me.
I think off the top of my head, something like that.
He reminds me a lot of how Nolan Arenado played last year against the Brewers, and how he had 2 hits, I think, in that 3-game series, and struggled a lot to try and do too much. And that's what it looks like Freddie Freeman's doing right now. So if he can get back to his game, he's going to be fine. It may not be this postseason. It may be the next time they're playing in October, but right now, Freddie Freeman's not the same guy. Josh Donaldson has not been the same guy that they've seen. So from top to bottom, the Braves are just not the same team.
I'm gonna go with the Cardinals still, man. I still gotta go with the Cardinals. I see Flaherty going 7 innings scoreless.
Not against this Braves offense. It's just
he's gonna be on top of his game tonight.
I mean, they've seen
Flaherty's had the best second half in all of baseball. He's hot. He's one of the hottest pitchers right now. He had like an ERA after the All-Star break. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he had an ERA of like 1.5 after the All-Star break.
2 things to rebut that. The Braves. Well, let me take that back. Ronald Acuna Jr. has been an MVP the second half of the season.
Okay.
And the second point is it's no longer the second half of the season. It's the
postseason baseball. And Flaherty's still one of the hottest pitchers in all of baseball.
If you go off his last start, no. In the same park, on the road, in Atlanta, for a Game 5.
He still limited them to 3 runs.
That's a lot of runs in the postseason.
Against the Braves offense that you were just saying is one of the best in all of baseball? I don't think so. To limit them to 3 runs?
But who won that game? Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to stick with the Braves. I just think the struggles, it'll probably be another 6-5, 7-6 bullpen game. I think the names.
Oh, you think it's that high scoring?
I think the names of these starters are going to be irrelevant. I think that someone's going to jump out to a front lead, big lead, and someone's going to come back. Right now, I think the Cardinals will jump out early, coming off the adrenaline of winning a Game 4 on a walk-off. Dexter Fowler's going to break out, and then
I think it's going to be the exact opposite. I think it's going to be the exact opposite. I see it like a 4-3 baseball game. I see the Braves jumping out to put up like 2 or 3 runs in like the first or second inning, and then all of a sudden they just go cold for the rest of the night. They go cold. And Cardinals gets 4.
None of that has happened in the series so far.
So it's going to happen tonight.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
Here's an interesting one.
This is the biggest one that I want to talk about this all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. I woke up this morning thinking about this game.
And I went to bed thinking about this game. Nationals-Dodgers, Game 5 in L.A., Chavez Ravine, Steven Strasburg, and Walker Buehler. I did not know Walker Buehler was starting tonight.
Yep.
I
think it's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. That changes everything for me.
Really?
Because when I heard Steven Strasburg was starting for the Nationals in Game 5, full rest, I thought, there's no way. After the performance LA put against them and the way they've performed, there's a very well chance that the Dodgers could get knocked out in the NLDS.
Do you still believe that with Walker Buehler on the mound?
It depends on.
I was really hoping you were going to say you're rooting for the Nationals.
I am rooting for the Nationals. But logically, do I think that they can beat Walker Buehler? I mean, that's probably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Okay, going back to your last argument, like you said about Flaherty, it's no longer just baseball right now. It's postseason baseball.
So here's where I'll back up that argument. Flaherty gave up 8 hits in Game 2. He gave up 3 runs. Walker Buehler in his last start pitched 6 innings and gave up 1 hit. He is not allowed to run in 16 2/3 consecutive postseason innings. So there's a difference between a second half pitcher and a postseason pitcher. So if you compare their 2 starts, I would say Walker Buehler has been better, and you can't argue that.
Okay, Strasburg still has a ERA in the postseason of .64.
Right, and Game 2, he held the Dodgers to 1 run in 6 innings too. 10 Ks, no walks, and that was in L.A.
Exactly. So what's to say that he can't do it again?
Here's where I think the difference is, and this has been the question mark for the Dodgers all year. The bullpen. It's been the question mark really across all of baseball if your name's not the New York Yankees or the Tampa Bay Rays. The bullpen.
Exactly.
Kenley Jansen has not been the Kenley Jansen that we remember, Big California.
So this is, I'm going to say this. everybody's available for a Game 5, obviously. Everybody's available.
Yeah, your season's
Hinjin-Ryu,
over.
Clayton Kershaw, everybody's available. That's what if Clayton Kershaw is available in the 9th inning, he's getting the last 3 outs.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And
Unless Walker Buehler's throwing a complete game.
which,
But I don't see that happening. I really don't. So that's why I'm saying if it comes down to the Dodgers actually winning this game, Clayton Kershaw is going to be the reason. He's going to be the one getting the last 3 outs in all baseball.
Who would you rather have in the 8th inning, Max Scherzer or Clayton Kershaw?
Max Scherzer, 100%.
100%. Yeah, that's not even a question
that's
right
not,
now.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Mad Max.
And
He just pitched 107 pitches in Game 4. He's gonna come back. He's gonna ice his arm. He's gonna put some eye black on. Because he's Mad Max. Everybody's gonna look at him in those 2 different colored eyes. He's gonna throw bullets, man. He's throwing like 97, 98 in Game 5 and like the 8th, 9th inning to close out the Dodgers.
he's gonna come in and just be like,
Oh, hello there.
and then just
Was
blow
that
it by.
Shrek?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
it was Shrek.
hello there.
That's my favorite movie of all time, man.
Max Scherzer's coming out of the bullpen, man. That's what I see.
Um,
Max Scherzer's coming out of the bullpen. Clayton Kershaw's coming out of the bullpen. Hinjin-Ryu's coming out of the bullpen. It's going to be a great game tomorrow night. I'm excited for baseball tomorrow night. It's going to be a great game.
Looking at the last 2 games they played, going back to LA, this goes completely against my original take, but I think the Nationals can pull off an upset tonight.
Tomorrow night. Oh, I don't see it happening. I see the Dodgers winning. I said the Dodgers were making it to the World Series and they were going to choke, and so I stand by that. And Walker Buehler's going to come out. He's going to throw 7, 8 great innings of baseball.
For the sake of baseball, I think this is the best thing that could happen. If the Nationals put together a complete game, what have they done? I mean, if I remember watching it yesterday, it was Trey Turner would lead off with a single or a double. He would use his speed. Ad Eaton would come up and he'd bunt him over. Anthony Rendon would put together a good at bat.
What about Ryan Zimmerman, longtime
Zimmerman?
National, coming through with a 3-run home run? That's something that you love to see. That's a longtime vet, a guy that waited his turn and played for a lot of really bad teams in DC, and finally got an opportunity to play solid postseason. Put together a solid postseason at bat. I mean, what was like the second pitch of the at bat, really?
Well,
and he launches a ball to straightaway center.
We haven't even mentioned Juan Soto, who hit 42 home runs this year.
Exactly.
And is Bryce Harper's replacement, essentially. So this team has a damn good chance to take down the Dodgers tonight.
They're a hot team, man. It's not about the best team in baseball. It's about the hottest team.
And
I stand
it's
by
coming
that.
down to a Game 5 for the Dodgers tonight. And I would be...
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
It's tomorrow night, man. Come on.
Tomorrow night.
We got to get better.
And
Let me insert one of those.
What do you want? You want the Price is Right horn? Or
Ooh.
all right. Wow.
Boo, the game's tomorrow night.
That's hilarious. I don't know what that was, but
Dodgers.
I'm gonna find that sound button right there, and every time you're yawning, I'm just gonna be like, just like that.
Dodgers win Game 5. That's what I'm saying.
I'll take the Nationals, man. Just to be devil's advocate, there's a real chance, and I'll stand by that.
So let me ask you this: if the Dodgers actually do win, or if the Nationals actually do win, could they beat the Cardinals or the Braves, depending on who wins that game? Obviously.
The hottest team wins. I mean, the Nationals.
If the Nationals beat the Dodgers, I'd say that the Nationals go to the World Series.
Yeah, and they can put up a fight against Houston's rotation. No,
They can. Even though you said that it's the Yankees, I'm still gonna go back and say it's gonna be. I still think it's Dodgers and Astros. Obviously, I'm gonna stand by that. That was my original pick, so I'm gonna stand by that. But if the Nationals do somehow make it past the Dodgers tomorrow night, I see them going to the World Series.
Here's the craziest
and they
part.
put up a good fight.
What we have to look at here is this is all good scenarios for baseball, right?
Exactly. You really can't go wrong in any way.
Like the Nationals, the Braves, those are 2 up-and-coming teams. Houston and New York are built like horses. Like,
Yeah.
This is going to be some fun baseball the next couple of weeks.
Something I always tell the kids that I coach is I love fall baseball. I love fall baseball. You know, I tell them that like every time we went out to play fall ball.
That's good.
I love fall baseball. I love October baseball. There's nothing better than October baseball.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of which, I'm going to give them a real quick shout out to my baseball team. I've done this before, like with other teams, but we put together like a great fall, man. Let me tell you. So those of you guys that don't know or don't know me like on a personal level, you just listen to this podcast every week. Really, man? Come on. Really? That's the music that you got to play right now? For those of you guys that don't know, I coach like a little 11-year-old youth baseball team, right? I helped coach them, and we just won the fall ball championship. I guess is that the right term to say?
Yeah.
We won the fall ball championship.
Yeah.
Put together like a great little fall ball season. We only lost twice. Sunday we had we were the number 1 seed entering tournament play, right? Because we're just the best there is. It's plain and simple, you know. And so the first game, we get up against a team that was actually pretty decent. You know, they put up a pretty good fight against us. We won extra innings. The game ended up being like 2.5 hours. It felt like. And we won like 11-10 or something like that in a walk-off. And that was pretty sweet to see. And then game 2, the semifinal, we destroyed the team. It was like Mercy Rule 15-1 or 16-1 or something like that. And then the championship game was actually a great game. I think we ended up winning 10-6, something like that. We put up a pretty good offensive numbers all throughout the day. My team knows how to hit, man. We know how to hit. We're like the Yankees. We're savages in that box, man. We're savages. Running bases. Sliding in the second, sliding in the third. You know? Wow. Okay, I'm done.
That's your show, Bob?
Just a real quick shout out to those baseball kiddos.
Yeah.
We're hitting dingers, man. Dingers only. I'm the greatest Little League coach of all time.
What?
Somebody get me a ring.
Oh, man.
Somebody get me a ring. Bruh. Greatest Little League coach. I'm like the Greg Popovich of Little League baseball. I'm the Coach K of Little League baseball. I don't coach losers. I only coach winners.
I don't really have any more. I got this for you. Let's do a quick look back on our predictions from last week. The one that really matters here, Yankees in 7 over Dodgers for me, and for you, you had Astros over Dodgers in 6, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
And you also said someone's throwing a no-hitter in this postseason. It's happened one time in MLB history.
I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
In the year of the juice baseball.
Somebody's doing it, man. Could it be Justin Verlander over the Tampa Bay Rays? Tampa Bay seems to get no hit like every other year.
But Verlander already threw a no-hitter this year.
Could he do it again? There's no reason why he can't do it again, man. He's the hottest pitcher in all baseball.
They also said Cole, Verlander, and Greinke will throw 3 7 to 8 inning games in the ALCS against either the Yankees or the Yankees.
Yep.
So
I see that. I still see that happening. 100%.
I respect it, man. Did you see the Broncos at 4-1, 1-4?
Yeah, man. Let's clear the streets. We're throwing a parade for the Broncos. We finally got our first win in Week 5.
Here's what I'll tell you. The last time the Broncos were 1-4, they made the playoffs. 2011.
Tebow time, man. Tebow time.
Yeah.
That was when we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first overtime. The new rules with overtime, right? Am I correct about that?
Yeah, they started off 1-3, so they weren't 0-4. They were 0-3, and then they lost.
They were 1-3.
They were down 23-10 at halftime against the Chargers. And Kyle Orton was 6 of 13 for 34 yards and the INT interception.
Tim Tebow time! Enter the great music for Tim Tebow.
He was 24 years old at the time. He did end up winning that game for the team, but he did rally the team around him.
He brought an energy, man. He brought an energy.
And Mike Kliss, who was formerly of the Denver Post, reported, the Broncos lost. The fans streamed to the exits chanting Tebow. Tebow. That tells you something about the character of that kid. They would win 7 of their next 8 games, and there were many of them that were in the final minutes. Kind of like a lot of the games this year. I mean, there's a great argument that you could say this team could be 3-2.
There's a great argument to say this team could be 4-1.
Rightfully so.
This team they had the potential to be 4-1, but like we have the greater potential to be 1-4.
Yeah.
You know?
They got off the schneid on Sunday, 20-13 over the Chargers, who have been up and down this year. They did go up 17-0 in that game, so that is a little bit of a worry.
The Broncos went up 17-0?
17-0, and then gave up. They were had scored 3 points, and then that was in the third quarter. So they gave up 13 points in the third quarter and only scored 3. So for the first time all season, Denver's defense played the kind of football we expected. Von Miller rushed Phillip Rivers pretty well, forced him to step up and hurry. And the Broncos got a forced turnover. Got a couple of them, didn't they?
It's about time, man. It's about time this Broncos defense shows up.
I mean,
at least in the first half.
Seeing Kareem Jackson with the that play at the 1 yard line where they knocked the ball out. Like that was pretty cool.
Exactly.
They're the last team to earn a turnover in the league, going 4 games without one, which is something to say about Fangio's defense. But maybe they were just saving for their maybe they're just saving their turnovers for the end of the year. They were like, we'll score 1 and we'll do no turnovers the first 3 games of the year. Nobody cares.
We're gonna let everybody get a head start on us in the turnover category, and then we're gonna come back and put up like 6-7 turnovers
when we play
every
Kansas City, we're gonna have 7 strip sacks to Patrick Mahomes in the first half, and then we'll be good.
Oh man, I wish that would happen.
Von Miller stuffed Melvin Gordon on an outside run, and on a 3rd down, he pushed the tight end who was trying to block him, making him go backwards, tackled him for a loss. He even earned a half sack when he and DeMarcus Walker's met at Rivers. That sounds romantic.
But maybe the most impressive thing that the Broncos did, I'm having withdrawals from the Rockies. Sorry. The most impressive thing that the Broncos did was the way they limited the run attack by both Elker and Melvin Gordon. And Melvin Gordon obviously making his season debut.
Eckler.
What did I say?
Eckler.
Yeah, Eckler.
No, you said Elker.
Oops, sorry. It's a Monday. It's not even a Monday. It's a Tuesday. Wow, rough day. It is a rough day. Because last week Leonard Fournette rushed for 200 and something yards.
This is true.
You know, and so now all of a sudden, Broncos defense actually shows up, coming to Sunday's game number 30 in the NFL in both rush yards allowed and total yards allowed and yards per carry. They were giving up like 5.1 yards per carry. But in the win over the Chargers, we only gave up 35 rush yards.
It was a signature first win for Fangio.
114.5 yards average better.
That's pretty dang good. And it just turned out to be the one game that I was thinking, you know what, the Chargers, they're playing the Broncos. Chargers defense against the Broncos are going to eat. We're going to have like an all-time day. And it just turned out that Joe Flacco had a day.
He had himself a day, man.
A
grand old day.
I almost had a comeback. I had 2 players score 0 points. Mike Evans and Greg Olsen put up a big old goose egg.
Really?
Goose egg.
You want to talk about my fantasy team, man? I'm 0-5.
You're Owen.
Wow.
0-5.
Owen Wilson.
Seriously, dude, I don't even know if, like, I can't even be.
You're gonna make another
depressed at this point?
Trade?
No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you talk crap about my roster, man. It just was a rough week, man. I had Aaron Rodgers starting against the Dallas Cowboys.
He had a good
Melvin
game.
Gordon didn't put up basically nothing.
It's only a game.
Tyler Boyd helped me out a little bit here and there. Bears defense struggled against Oakland. It was just a rough week.
I only lost by 4 points with 2 players that had 0. Baker Mayfield put up negative points, which helped a little bit.
I saw that.
And it just turned out that both teams I was playing this week in my 2 leagues had Baker Mayfield at quarterback. And if Odell Beckham Jr. had more than 1 forced fumble, he almost made it happen.
Wow.
That I could come back. So just a tough week all around in the fantasy. But
well, you know, I'm getting my first win this week, man. I'm getting my first win this week.
I don't think so, man.
I'm going up against the TV director here at Met Media. Brandon? Well, yeah. And so he dropped everybody on his team and picked up every single player from the Dolphins that was available. So I'm basically going up against the Miami Dolphins this week. And who do the Miami Dolphins play against this week? The Washington Redskins.
So they're gonna just destroy the Redskins.
This would be the week if Miami goes off. This would be the week, and I would lose and fall to 0-6.
Yeah, I mean we really want to see it.
But I had to make some changes. I got Dak Prescott starting at quarterback, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. I picked him up off waivers. James Washington, Tyler Boyd, Jared Cook, Joe Mixon, New Orleans defense against Jacksonville, and Harrison Butker for my kicker. So I'm feeling confident, man. I'm feeling confident. I think this is a week I finally get off the schneid. If I go 1-5, if I can win this weekend, I'm throwing myself a parade next week on the podcast.
Okay.
Throwing myself a parade.
We will throw another parade if the Broncos are able to defend in Power Field at Mile High. I don't think we've ever said that on the podcast yet.
And Power Field at Mile High.
And now we said it twice. The Titans are in town from Tennessee. Is Marcus Mariota healthy? Is he playing? Are the Titans any good this year?
They've been up and down.
Well, I feel like every team in the NFL has been up and down, unless you're the Niners or the Patriots. I mean, that's the truth of the NFL right now.
What about the Colts? They should be pretty good right now, too.
They're all right. You could say the same thing about the Chiefs, but right now they're down.
No information on if Mariota's hurt or anything. Marcus Ardell Taluni Mariota is an American football quarterback for the Tennessee Titans of the National Football League. That's what it says.
Are you sure about that?
I just read it off of Wikipedia, so of course I'm sure about that.
Wikipedia, man.
Hey, I saw your tweet. Was it last week about how you made your first edit to a Wikipedia page?
I did.
Tell me about that.
Can we talk about it in the quick five? Because it's actually included in the quick five.
Yeah, we'll talk about that then.
Jeopardy music. We love it.
Actually, did you already say the Titans lost 14-7 to the Bills?
I did not say that, but...
But they did also beat the Atlanta Falcons the week before that, so I feel like
it's the NFL,
you just really don't know what you're going to expect from the Tennessee Titans this week.
You just don't know what you're expecting from the NFL anymore. I just don't have any other way to put it. Like it's
and obviously the Broncos should have some momentum after beating the Chargers.
There is no clear team in the NFL this year like there were the Chiefs and the Patriots.
I got a hint for you. It's called the New England Patriots.
Well, they don't have Antonio Brown anymore.
They don't need Antonio Brown. It's the New England Patriots, man. It's Bill Belichick. It's Tom Brady. He's a system quarterback.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Tom Brady, the biggest system quarterback of all time. No, I'm just kidding. Tom Brady's actually one of the best quarterbacks I think we're ever going to witness in all of NFL history in my generation.
So, little surge of momentum for the Broncos here after knocking off the Chargers. We'll see how that goes, but Broncos, Titans. Who you got? What's your prediction?
Broncos are going to lose. We're going to fall to 1-5. The offense is going to struggle. The defense is going to struggle, and it's going to be a 3-touchdown game.
Wrong. So,
it's going to be like 34-10.
The Titans aren't that good. The Broncos are coming off with some momentum. It's going to be a close game.
Oh.
They've played close at home. I mean, they've lost by field goals. They probably should have won the last two games at home. I got to take the Broncos here. They just played better at home. They're playing better in general. They're finally figuring out their game. They're playing a team that is very turnover heavy. If they can make some turnovers happen, there's a chance this team could win.
With no Bradley Chubb, Von Miller's getting double teamed all day long. All day long.
I mean, true, but they didn't have Bradley Chubb last week, and Von Miller had a day. So
it's not going to be close. I don't see the Broncos winning this game. We're going to 1-5. We're trying to tank for Tua.
Tank for Tua, man. Don't forget Jalen Hurts.
Actually, we're tanking to get a cornerback in the first round because Will said that last week on the podcast that the Broncos weren't going to take a cornerback, and then like 2 days later, CBS Sports tweets out about a draft board of sorts, and the Broncos, who do they take at a number 6 overall? Tell everybody on the podcast, Will, what position do they take?
If I wasn't mistaken,
the first round, it was a cornerback.
The cornerback. If I wasn't mistaken, also in that top 10 draft, they have Laviska Shenault Jr., the Colorado Buffaloes, University of Colorado Buffalo.
Oh, did they? I guess I didn't really look that far. I just looked at. I saw number 6. I saw number 6. The Broncos taking a cornerback, and that's all I cared about. That's
good, man. I appreciate that.
Let's go with this quick 5, man.
Quick 5. How do you want to start it? Do you have an idea for the start? I mean, we're just gonna freestyle this one, super quick. I'll get the music going. Get us a nice little vibe. Quick 5. Quick 5 here. We'll start with NHL opening weekend. The Avs are for real, man. 2-0.
Hey, but I don't want to jump the gun on this or anything, but we got off to a hot start last season also, and look, we almost ended up out of the playoffs.
Okay, that's a good point, but this is a completely different Avs team that's much deeper.
100%.
Mikko Rantanen, after not even playing much in training camp, looks like an MVP. And these top 2 lines look like the best offense in hockey. You could say Tampa Bay is pretty deep, but this team right here is pretty damn deep. So the Avs are pretty nice. Grubauer in net has been solid against a very, very stacked Calgary team that just can't seem to beat Colorado. And against Minnesota as a division rival, you're always going to play that.
So I work at the Pepsi. Those of you guys that don't know, I work at the Pepsi Center, right? I do club level stuff for the Pepsi Center. But let me just tell you, the Pepsi Center has been off the charts for these Avs games.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up for opening night. I mean, everybody was there. Granted, they were all pretty mad about altitude, not being able to show the game yet, but they were all pretty mad about that. But everybody was there. It was a packed house, man. It was a sellout crowd. Opening night sellout crowd. It was nice to see the Pepsi Center packed. And then on division rivalry night, you know the Avs wear those alternate navy blue sweaters. Those are really sweet, and everybody wears them, man. Those are really sweet. I like those. I want to get a Avs sweater.
I miss the ones that they had back in the day with the avalanche across the chest. I think it was avalanche. Probably Colorado. Those were pretty sick. I mean, Avs jerseys in general are pretty sweet.
Are they jerseys or sweaters?
Sweaters is, I guess, the correct name. But
boom, there you go, man.
Everybody wants to go to the can to find their car. Makar.
Yeah, man. Where's my car? There he is. It's Kale Makar.
The future of Avalanche hockey. It looks real bright at this point. Saturday, the Buffaloes lost at Folsom to Arizona. Khalil Tate, the quarterback for Arizona, just needs to graduate already. He just eats buffalo for breakfast every day.
Yeah, he does.
But they have a tough matchup this week. They get number 16 Oregon in Eugene. Did I say that right? Eugene?
Eugene?
I'm not going to ask you about
that is Eugene. That's called Eugene.
So it's a big opportunity for
I know somebody that went to school in Eugene.
That's cool. I do too. So it's a big opportunity for an upset to make some noise in Mel Tucker's first year. So Mel Tucker, he's making a statement. This one,
didn't we beat Oregon last time in Oregon?
Yeah, but that was with let me take that back. It was not with a completely different quarterback because Stefan Mufau got hurt in that game.
Yep.
And they brought in Steven Montez. That's a different defense. That's what I'll say against a very strong Oregon offense. We'll go to one that you don't know about, the NLL, or the National Lacrosse League, the Denver Outlaws. They lost in the championship game of the NLL playoffs or whatever it is. It's kind of confusing to me.
Can I ask you why they played at Dick's Sporting Goods Park?
It wasn't like a home and away thing. It was just kind of like, the Super Bowl they picked to be at Atlanta every year. In this case, Dick's Sporting Goods Park was the place where they were playing. So didn't even fill half the stadium.
Yeah,
it was kind of sad, but
I was gonna say I saw pictures of it and it looked empty. Dick's Sporting Goods Park looked empty for that. I didn't even know the Denver Outlaws were playing in a championship game, let alone home.
Which says something about the sport. They went down, I think, 8-0.
Wow!
And they came back and tied it. There was like an hour and a half of game time that went by before someone scored again. And apparently the Denver team was trying to call a timeout. The referee wouldn't give it to them, and then I think it was the Bandits scored. I think it's Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But going back to the Wikipedia.
Wow, that's 2 big championships for Canada. NBA basketball and NLL lacrosse. Oh, man.
That was a good one, man. I'll give you
Thank you.
I'll give you that.
I appreciate it. I'm a funny guy. I'm a fun guy. Oh, that's another one.
You're pretty good at this.
I cracked myself up.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I'm the greatest co-host podcaster in all of the United States.
I'll go to my Wikipedia. This is what I had to do with, and this is how I got a little bit.
This is why. Remember when we said that our goal was to bring you like a Barstool Sports kind of podcast?
No, we never said that.
This is it. We did. Yeah, we did our show proposal.
You might want to, but fuck Barstool. Anyways,
oh man, kids listen to this podcast, man.
Well,
Watch your language. Watch your language. Kids listen to this podcast, man.
It's only a game.
It's only a podcast. Why you have to be mad? So the Wikipedia post. If you've ever heard of John Grant Jr., he is arguably the best lacrosse player ever. He's like the Michael Jordan of lacrosse.
I have heard of John Grant Jr.
And he spent quite a long time in Colorado. He originally didn't play in Colorado, and he was in the MLL, which is the Major Lacrosse League, which is indoor. Came to the Colorado Mammoth, who Altitude Sports covers.
Yep.
Play at the Can, Pepsi Center.
Yes, sir.
Soon to be the Coke Arena.
Yes, sir.
And so he is the all-time leading scorer in lacrosse history. He's won the MVP multiple times. So here's where...
how does this all tie together?
The Wikipedia post.
Oh.
So I was just doing some research on John Grant Jr. because I was like, he's pretty good. It's kind of crazy to have like Michael Jordan played in Colorado, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So someone had mentioned on another... I can't even remember his name. The other really good lacrosse player, like the LeBron James of lacrosse. He had won 2 MVPs, and multiple MVPs, and it said he was the only one to ever win 2 MVPs.
Oh.
But John Grant Jr. had won like 4 MVPs in both leagues combined. So He's pretty good. If you haven't heard the story, John Grant Jr. was a coach with the Denver Outlaws, and the last 2 years he's decided to come out of retirement and become a player coach. He's the oldest lacrosse player by a landslide. I think he's 43 at this point. Now the Tom Brady of lacrosse, if you see where I'm going with that.
Player coach.
I don't know if he's going to retire after this year.
This just in, I'm coming out of retirement to go play 11-year-old baseball.
Yeah.
These noises are starting to get sick.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sick of them.
I'm sorry.
Sick of them. Do I need to get my John Gruden on? We need better execution. We need better effing execution. Wow. Knock on wood if you're with me.
Wow.
Another team from who plays their home games at Dick's Sporting Goods Park lost in the final game of the year. They were in L.A. to play LFC, if I'm not mistaken, who is the best team in MLS right now.
Yeehaw, brother.
They almost completed the biggest comeback in MLS history. They were just so bad to start the year. Like, they were rocky second half bad.
Oh, man.
Maybe even worse.
Oh, man.
And they almost came back and won a playoff spot.
Wow.
So, they have won more championships recently. They've played in more championships than the Rockies have.
I didn't know that.
And the Broncos. Wow. They've won as many championships as the Broncos, Rockies, Nuggets, and Avalanche combined in the last 10 years.
So one?
Yeah. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's where I'll leave it. That's the quick 5 minutes. It turned out to be like 17 minutes, but...
No, it didn't.
Okay, 10.
It was like 7. 7 minutes.
So we'll call it the
quick 5.
The quick 7 minutes.
The game 7, quick 7.
No,
quick 5.
That's too many names.
Let's get into the breakthrough NBA season preview.
The breakthrough. What was that?
That was me trying to insert my own music into there.
Wow.
Early predictions.
There's only 2 earlies there.
I know, but I'm saying it's early.
It's not that early. The first postseason or preseason game is tonight.
Early postseason games. Early preseason games, excuse me.
You're just thinking about the preseason. You're yawning. I get it. We'll keep it simple for this show. We'll go MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year. Biggest surprise at the NBA champions, which is a really hard one. MVP, you go first.
Okay, so with no Klay Thompson, with D'Angelo Russell stepping into a brand new offense, Stephen Curry's going to have a monster year, and I think he's going to go for MVP. He's going to carry this Golden State Warriors team to a top 4 seed in the Western Conference.
I said this last year. I thought Curry had a chance to be the MVP. He started off, but injuries kind of railed off that track. I'm going to go with Ben Simmons, the 3-point sniper of the preseason.
Oh, this guy's a 3-point sniper. Watch out.
Now that he's added somewhat of a shot, or it looks like it, we'll have to see if he can continue success with his shot in the regular season. But I just feel like he's ready. He's primed for a breakout year. He's been good, not great the last couple years. The reason why this take kind of is hot is because you have James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Those names.
They're big names, man.
They're big names. You're going to have to play better than these guys. That's why it's kind of out of the blue. But I'll stick with that. Rookie of the Year, Isaac.
Real quick, if Ben Simmons is going to go for MVP, Ben Simmons is also going for Rookie of the Year. LOL. I've been waiting all podcasts to get that one in. Woo, I love myself. I make so many jokes on this podcast. My Rookie of the Year is Zion Williamson. Most hyped player, I think, of all time since LeBron James coming into the league. And I like.
Can you say that again for the people?
The most hyped player of all time since LeBron James came into the league.
So is it all time or since LeBron James come into the league?
I'm saying it's the most hyped player of all time, and the most hyped since LeBron James came into the league. Like, both of them. Like, nobody's been this hyped since, like, near as hyped as LeBron James was in 2003.
Zion looked good last night. He did look good. He had a lot of
that
time.
Absolute poster he had in the first quarter? I mean, absolute poster, man. He just went up there, ran right through the lane, and yammed on some people, man. Yammed on. Absolute yam city. Zion Williamson putting people on a poster all season long. He's playing in 78 games this year.
That's what she said.
I'm going to go with the most hyped player in Denver Nuggets history. Michael Porter Jr. Yesterday was Michael Porter Jr. Eve.
Most hyped player in Nuggets history?
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony is pretty high up there. Alex English.
But Carmelo Anthony didn't sit out a
Dikembe
year.
Mutombo.
They didn't sit out a year.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's true. That's okay.
And it wasn't also 2019, and they weren't also coming off their best season in arguably club history. So there is reason to believe if he stays healthy that Michael Porter Jr. can put up a fight. I think the hype will just be too strong around Zion. And I really come off as a Zion hater, but Zion is
hyped.
He's hyped. He's
Rookie
good.
of the year.
He's good.
He's going back to back to back Rookie of the Year winner.
Coach of the year.
I got Doc Rivers, man. I got Doc Rivers and a new look Los Angeles Clippers team taking over. Doc Rivers, they're going to be a number 1 seed, I think.
Those super teams never do good in their first year. It's just a proven. The Heat, the Warriors,
the Celtics,
like they
Lakers.
never. The Nuggets of 09, like they never do what they're expected to do. The hype around this team is huge. They're gonna be good. They're not gonna be
okay. So
great.
Realistically, other than your pick that you have, don't say it yet. Who else could it be? Do you expect Malone to make a run for it?
Yes, I mean you could definitely make that point.
I thought he was gonna if he was gonna win Coach of the Year, it would have been last year when he takes the team from no playoffs to a number 2 seed.
Yeah, I just think for Malone to win it, he'd have to be better than he was last year. He'd have to make more of a statement than he did last year, and that's really hard.
So who do you got?
I have Quinn Snyder. That's the Jazz head coach, and just because they just haven't been the same. They're gonna make a difference this year. They can fight for a top 4 seed. There's not as much hype as there should be around
the coach of the year isn't going to be a top 4, or isn't going to be just a top 4 seed. It's going to be the number 1 seed,
and it's always been that way. So
that's why I got Doc Rivers, because I think the Clippers are going to be number 1.
Biggest surprise:
the Lakers are not a top 4 seed in the West. That's what I'm saying. That's my bold prediction.
Anthony Davis is good, man. That's really hard.
But LeBron James, Anthony Davis, can they carry a Lakers team into a top 4 seed? Like you said, a super team never does good in the first year. Do they have?
True.
Can Alex Caruso really be the third best player on this team?
Kyle Kuzma.
If he's hurt,
you get the Kuz.
Kyle Kuzma, if he's healthy.
Yeah. JaVale McGee, is he still playing for LA? DeMarcus Cousins.
He's not playing. He tore his ACL, man.
That's DeMarcus Cousins. I got the Sacramento Kings. They're going to put it together finally and sneak into the playoffs. They were a borderline playoff team last year. They've had 3 years with De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley's in his second year. This team could do something if they can stay healthy. I mean, that's always if they stay healthy, they'll be good. But I think the Kings have a chance to make a little bit of noise. I don't think they're going to fight for an NBA championship or a second-round playoff, but they can make some noise and lose to the Lakers in the first round. We'll go NBA champions.
Oh, this is such a tough conversation to have right now.
Are you hurting inside, or do I need to play something for you?
No, I mean, it's just it's so wide open. Like years past, we could easily sit across it. Like a year ago, for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been able to sit across this table and say the Golden State Warriors are going to the NBA Finals. We know that for a fact. Can we say that this year? This is the first time since God knows how long that we can't say we're not going to see Stephen Curry or LeBron James in the finals. Like we can say that 100% that we actually do not know that.
Yes. I mean that's a good point, but it's just too wide open right now. There's really on both sides of the NBA, the East and the West.
Like am I gonna sit here and say, oh, I think the Nuggets actually have a chance, which they do have a chance,
but
to be
an on August or in October
7th or what is it? Was October 8th? You know, do you have a realistic pick that? Because you could look at just about every team and make an argument for them. You know, a lot of these major teams, you could look at the Bucks and be like, wow, number 1 seed last year, they a wide open Eastern Conference. You know, you look at the Celtics, new look Celtics. Can they play better without Kyrie Irving? You want to look at the Nets, they have Kyrie Irving. You know, you want to look at the Raptors. Can they still rebuild without, or can they still play without having Kawhi Leonard there? And then if you go all the way to the West, you know, you look at the new look Lakers, you look at the new look Pelicans, who they're supposed to make some noise this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the Nuggets, who have arguably the best depth in all of NBA right now. I think that's about the 12th time you've played this song.
That's what the whole time you've like. I don't know.
The Warriors look good. The Trailblazers, obviously a top 3 seed last year.
Bruh.
Houston Rockets with Russell Westbrook and Zion Williamson. Utah Jazz are supposed to be a very good team this year. The Thunder aren't supposed to be that good. The Spurs, Greg Popovich, you never know what Greg Popovich can pull up his sleeve. He's going to make the playoffs. You know they're going to sneak in there as a 7 or 8 seed.
Are you sure about that?
Greg Popovich is one of the greater coaches of the NBA, just so I am one of the greater coaches of Little League Baseball.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. I don't know either. It's too early. Let's revisit it.
It's too early. Next week.
Let's revisit it next week. You want to revisit it next week? Are you ending the show now?
No.
You sure? Are you sure about that?
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 About that?
I love this podcast. Almost as much as I love fall baseball.
Every time, man. Every time.
This is a great podcast. But in all seriousness, now that we're kind of closing this out, I think we could do like a Game 7 brand to kind of bounce back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. We could do like a Game 7.
It's up there.
Or maybe it's just G7. G7 MMA. G7 baseball.
It could be. I mean, we got a long ways to go. It hasn't even been a year of this show. We're only at 37, no? 38? 37?
37. This is the 37th episode.
We're almost at 42. Don't forget about that.
Episode 42. Do we skip 42 or do we...
I think we still do 42. You can't just skip 42.
Even though we already did episode 42?
Because this would technically be 38 if 42 was episode whatever.
That's right. That is true.
Let's just do Game 7, Season 3. Season 4. Just start a new season tomorrow, next week. Or just do Game 7, Episode 1 every week. Just one.
Quarter 1.
That's really quarter 1.
Period 1.
First inning.
It's the first inning of the Game 7 podcast.
Welcome to the Game 7 show. It is the first inning of Game 7. Yeah, what's not?
If you have any cool names for a potential podcast, or if you want to join us, get on the show, start your own podcast under the G7 brand.
Yeah, we're open for it. It's free.
Yeah, man, we're totally open to suggestions, totally open to ideas. I'm going to start coaching basketball again here pretty soon in about a week. So that's exciting. Bell Creek Charter School.
It's cool, man.
Just let this music play out, man. Will, tell me what we learned today.
Learned that the Broncos aren't as bad as it seems. I feel like we say this every week, but they're not as bad as they seem. Isaac is really tired. We need to get him some rest. He just keeps yawning.
I love school, man.
He's about to yawn again.
I was going pretty strong until you said something about yawning. I learned that the Houston Astros are legit and that the Dodgers actually have a real shot of losing this game tomorrow night. It is tomorrow night, even though Will said it was tonight about 4 times.
Guarantee, man.
I guarantee it. If you
guarantee the game's tomorrow night.
If you listen to
your
last
best guarantee all year, baby.
If you listen to last week's podcast, you know what that comes from. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Hit us up with questions for the next podcast. As always, interact with us on social media, Facebook Game 7 Show, YouTube, where we post the full-length clips of these podcasts, Game 7 Show. You want to tweet us at _Game7, GAMESEVEN. You can tweet at Will Satler. You can tweet myself at Isaac_Bugarin.
Oh.
And if you didn't like our takes from today's podcast or want us to talk about something specific next week, email us game7show@gmail.com. That is GAMESEVENSHOW@gmail.com.
At least you can spell.
I can spell, man. And I also want to remind everybody that if you are looking for a pet, go to the shelter first.
Episode 38 next week. We'll see you later.